Hello guys, this is Mike from ICODROPS. We are at Hashed branch, and right now we're having Neeraj from Bluzelle. Okay, let me give you the word, and can you please introduce yourself to our community and tell a little bit about your role in the project?
So I'm Neeraj Murarka. I'm co-founder of Bluzelle, and I'm the chief technical officer. So you know, we're pretty happy to talk about our Bluzelle database. We launched the Lovelace release of our database on July 2nd in Singapore. That was our big launch event, and we're in the midst of doing a roadshow. So I'm here at the Hashed brunch in Seoul, and you know, doing the same thing, talking about Bluzelle database to whoever's interested.
Great, and could you please provide us with the latest updates about the project? Maybe you can make some announcements right now for our community.
So yeah, Lovelace came out on the 2nd of July. It's a public test network, so it's open to the public. It's been running flawlessly since then, and you know, you have access to an API, so you can start writing apps immediately for the database. We have JavaScript APIs, we have WebSocket low-level API. We also have support now for Ethereum and for Neo. So if you're writing smart contracts, you can talk to the database, you can do your create, read, update, delete, you can do all that. And you'll also be able to, you actually can run your own node. So that's a very big feature, is that you can add nodes to the network. So currently, Bluzelle's running the most of the nodes, but we want the public to be able to add nodes. And the reason for that is because we want farmers that can actually, they'll be able to earn tokens. We haven't got that enabled yet, but they will be able to earn tokens in our upcoming releases.
Great, and speaking about your business strategy, are any new partnerships, any new announcement for this kind of stuff?
We actually made some big announcements when we were doing our roadshow in China. So we've got collaborations with Icon and with Zilliqa and with OneChain, and we're also working with Qtum. So you can expect to see even more collaborations in the future. The main thing here is to increase the use of Bluzelle in, you know, every kind of blockchain available. So as we know, blockchains, people write smart contract, but they need to store usually large amounts of data, and they want to store it in a good database that's cost effective and fast. So with Bluzelle, you have that ability to store that data there, but you also have the interoperability. So for example, imagine you've got data set that's being used between different blockchains. With Bluzelle, you have a common database that can be used across the board from different blockchains, but even with regular apps that are not necessarily on a blockchain.
Nevertheless, you are the STO, and your stream is the product and you know, the technology. Maybe you have some thoughts about the market, like pumps and dumps. What do you think about that?
I'm not a financial analyst, so I'll give you my
financial advice.
I don't really watch the markets too much, unfortunately or fortunately. My eyes are really on the science and on the product and development. But yeah, right now the markets are pretty low. I think that this is just my theory, that the markets are going to mature. So I think that the markets are going to mature as projects that don't necessarily have the real science and technology behind it kind of shake down, and then better projects that have a long-term longevity will survive. With Bluzelle, the thing that I'm really happy about is we're infrastructure. And I think one of the things that the viewers should try to understand is that infrastructure is a tool that apps use, apps whether they're decentralized or non-decentralized. So with Bluzelle, my focus really is not about just having DApps use Bluzelle, but even non-DApps. Think about iOS games, Android games, enterprise applications that don't use blockchain. They all need database. Database is the core of software development. So Bluzelle is positioning itself as a better database, period, not just for DApps. And that's one of the things that I want to do, is to get software developers in every field to use Bluzelle and take advantage of all the benefits we offer. So I think that these infrastructure projects, the crypto behind them, the economics behind them, are the ones that are going to be much more sustainable.
And do you think that the time for DApps has come? Is the infrastructure ready for these DApps? Yesterday we were talking with Roger Lim, who is a well-known investor in the space, and one of his thoughts he shared with us is that the time for the apps is coming, and we need a real-life adoption. We are tired of new blockchains because they are sometimes made just to raise the money, not to move forward in terms of technology. And maybe it's, this year will become the apps year when we already have some adoption in real life. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, you know, there's a lot of noise in the market. I was in New York City for Blockchain Week, and without naming any specifics, it seems like there's a new blockchain around every corner.
Yeah.
And we don't need 150 different blockchains. What we really need is consumable products that people use, real day-to-day people use, whatever it may be. So I think you're right. Is today or is this year the time when the DApps are going to reach that tipping?
Sorry for interrupting. The question is the infrastructure ready for these DApps?
I think that
they work like non-decentralized applications smooth, and will the user experience will be good enough for mass adoption?
I think so. I mean, I think that database is a core part of that. So speaking purely from Bluzelle's perspective, the fact that we've come out with the first usable key value store that a DApp can use realistically makes this the infrastructure part much clearer. So yes, I think that the infrastructure has already gotten to that point this year, and it's just going to keep improving as you see not just Bluzelle database, but other infrastructure. Like, you know, we have now CDN, decentralized CDNs coming out. We've got decentralized computation coming out. And I think that all these pieces are going to come together to give you a web stack that allows you to have a decentralized experience from end to end.
We need the whole ecosystem.
Yes, you need a whole ecosystem. And this is actually one of the things I talk about when I'm presenting, is that it's not just about the database, it's not just about the DApp, it's about all the moving parts that create that. So for developers who, for example, use Heroku, you see there's all the different pieces that require to make a DApp, a regular app. You need the same experience with decentralization, and I think that that's coming together now.
Could you tell a little bit about your relationships with the NuCypher project? As far as I know, Mike Egorov is your advisor.
Yes.
He's a good friend of ICODROPS as well. We've made an interview with him. So could you please tell about this interaction?
Yeah, Michael's great. I met Michael several times in Silicon Valley last year. This was around the time when we were talking about doing our ICO, and I love the technology at his company. Michael basically brings to us, he's an advisor as well, Bluzelle, and what he brings to the table is very strong background with security, encryption, the technology that they've developed at NuCypher. We're very interested in proxy re-encryption. So these are very key aspects of our roadmap as we build Bluzelle forward, to have native encryption built in and to be able to allow people to do things like search with encrypted data, many advanced topics that that we need that expertise for. So Michael is actually very active in helping us with our development.
Speaking about this hashed event, have you already met some interesting guys from other projects? Maybe you're going to make some connections, some new relations with other projects, like partnerships and so on.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I've been here for about an hour today for this event, and I've already met several people I know, people that we've already worked with, investors, and I've met several people that are very interested. I'm not going to announce any names yet because I want to keep things under wraps until things are official, but it's very exciting. One of the nice things about having an infrastructure like Bluzelle is anybody who's building a DApp or anybody who's got infrastructure is interested in working with you, because you're a core
basic layer for these guys.
You're a basic layer. It's a key tool to anything in decentralization. Absolutely. So this is one of the reasons I got involved with building this database. It was a pain point that Bluzelle internally had, and that's why we built the database. We think it's something that people need.
Thanks a lot, Neeraj. That's a great interview, and ICODROPS and all the community wishes all the best to Bluzelle. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Спасибо.
Спасибо.
Nice.